We're about to dive into a story that, honestly, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction. But what's wild is that it's a real part of our history. It's like a blueprint for a sustainable world that we somehow just forgot about.
So I want you to just picture this for a second. Think about a huge, bustling society with over 30 million people. To put that in perspective, that's about the size of Texas right now. Now, here's the question. Could a society that large not just get by, but actually thrive, build a stable, complex culture for over 250 years without using any fossil fuels? Like no oil, no coal, no natural gas at all.
I mean, that sounds impossible, right? Think about it. Everything, their food, their economy, their cities, their homes, all of it powered only by the sun. And we're not talking about ancient sunlight stored away for millions of years like fossil fuels are. No, we're talking about the energy they captured from the sun day in and day out in real time. And yet, they did it. They pulled it off. And we're not talking about some small, primitive tribe here. This was the incredibly sophisticated, highly organized society of Edo-period Japan. For 250 years, they built what might be one of the most truly sustainable civilizations, maybe ever.
So the big question is, how? How is that even possible? Well, a huge part of the answer lies in how they saw the world, their whole perspective on life. You know, if you think of our modern world as this runaway train just going faster and faster, life in Edo, Japan was completely different. It was more like living on a giant spinning plate. It made one perfect circle every year, and the whole thing was powered by the sun.
And don't mistake this for just some quaint, old-fashioned way of life. It was unbelievably efficient. Get this, their way of farming rice was 15 times more energy efficient than our modern machine-heavy agriculture. The only energy they put in was their own labor, which, of course, was powered by the food they grew using sunlight from the year before. It's just a perfect, closed solar loop. That's such a powerful way to frame it, isn't it? Our modern world, we basically drink oil. We import all these fossil fuels to run everything, especially our farms. But the people of the Edo period, they drank the sun. They were, in the truest sense of the word, completely self-sufficient.
Okay, so that's the big picture. But how did it actually work, on the ground, day to day? The answer is in the landscape itself, a landscape they carefully built and managed. It was the real engine of their society, and it has a name, Satoyama.
So Satayama, the word itself literally breaks down to Sato for village and Yama for mountain or forest, but its meaning is so much richer than that. It's this idea of a dynamic, managed landscape where people and nature are just woven together. It's a mosaic, You've got forests, rice paddies, fields, waterways, and villages, all working together as a single living system.
And you can really see what that looks like here. The forests up on the hills aren't just scenery. They act like a giant sponge, collecting rainwater and then slowly feeding it down to the rice paddies and the fields below, which in turn surround the village. Every single piece had a job to do. The forests gave them firewood and fertilizer in the form of fallen leaves. The fields grew their food. And get this, the ratio was about 10 hectares of forest for every 1 hectare of farmland. That's how integrated the whole system was.
This brilliant physical design, the Satoyama, led directly to an economic system that was, nearly perfect. A truly circular economy. I mean, the whole idea of waste, as we know it just didn't exist, because every single output from one part of the system was a crucial input for another.
And this is where things get really fascinating. A key part of this cycle was something they called shimogo, which translates to night soil. And yes, that is exactly what you think it is, human waste. But to them, it wasn't a problem to get rid of. It was an incredibly valuable resource, so valuable that it was collected from big cities like Edo and Osaka and then sold to farmers as a premium fertilizer. This visual really helps you see that perfect loop in action. Let's just follow the flow for a second. Okay, so food from the farms goes to the people in the village. Simple enough. But then, in return, the people give back 2 things, their labor to work the fields and their night soil, which goes right back on the fields as fertilizer. Add in manure from the livestock and compost from the forest, and boom, it's a totally closed system. Absolutely nothing is wasted. I mean, just look at something like rice straw. To us, that's agricultural waste. To them, it was a core resource with multiple lives. A big chunk of it got composted and went right back into the soil. About a third of it was used as fuel to cook food.
The rest, it was woven into everything: sandals, ropes, mats, you name it. And the best part? When those woven things eventually wore out, they weren't thrown away. They were burned, and the ash was sold back to farmers as a fantastic potassium fertilizer. Unbelievable. So when you put it side by side with our modern system, the difference is just staggering. The Edo system, circular, solar-powered, built on local resources where waste is a resource. Our system, totally linear. We take, we make, and we throw away. It's fueled by oil and gas, depends on stuff shipped from all over the world, and waste is this giant headache we have to deal with.
But here's the thing, this was so much more than just a bunch of clever farming hacks. All of this was built on top of a really profound worldview, a philosophy that saw the entire world in a way that's, well, it's fundamentally different from how we see it today.
And this quote, it's from an old Edo-period farming textbook, and it really gets right to the heart of it. The idea was that farming wasn't about conquering nature or just extracting stuff from it. It was about taking part in this grand cosmic process. A good harvest wasn't just a chemical reaction, it was seen as a gift, a blessing from the universe.
So this worldview had a few core ideas. Circulation, that idea of cycles, was at the very center of everything. There was this deep sense of gratitude for what they called the blessings of heaven. You even had philosophers talking about primordial mutualism, this concept that all living beings are kind of on an equal ecological footing. And this wasn't just some abstract theory. For example, fishermen had this term utsuki-rin, which means fish-gathering forests. Why? Because they knew from generations of just watching that if the forests up on the mountains were healthy, the fish down in the ocean would be abundant. They saw the connection.
So, when we look back at this amazing, self-sufficient society, it's really not just a cool history lesson. It's a deep well of wisdom. And honestly, it feels more relevant right now than ever before, as we're all trying to figure out our own sustainability problems.
So what are the big takeaways here? What can we actually learn from them? First, the sheer power of a zero-waste circular system is undeniable. Second, the importance of biodiversity. They were growing over 1,000 different kinds of rice. They also show us what's truly possible for a society that runs on contemporary solar energy. And maybe the biggest lesson of all, they prove that being self-sufficient on a massive scale, it's not just a dream. It's actually been done.
So, Edo Japan was a closed system, a perfect circle. Our world today, it's an open system, a straight line from the mine to the landfill. And that really leaves us with one final and I think crucial question to think about. What would it actually take for us to start closing that loop?